Hey guys, welcome back to the Colour Plane podcast. Jesse, how are you?
Very well, Jack.
That's good. Today we are sitting down with Tom and Sasha from Duzh Vug. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And we're really excited for this one, Jess. Tell us a bit about some things that you want to talk about.
Oh, I can't wait to dive into one, how they make these hats. They're all handmade. So what does that look like? How many hours does it take?
We are wearing a couple at the moment that the boys shipped us before the fact, which is very nice of the boys.
Amazing. I also can't wait to see how Beyond the Valley went. I did that once many blue moons ago, and I just heard they sold out a few hundred hats. So can't wait to dive into that, Jack. I also can't wait to hear about their friendship and how they're balancing running a business with a very close-knit friendship, Jack. So let's dive into it.
Let's dive in. Very interesting story, and we hope you guys like this one. Let's get it.
Boys, we want to dive into Beyond the Valley. I think me personally, I've done it once in 2019, and it changed the landscape of push pull. How did it affect your business?
I think probably to a similar extent. Like, yeah, it really, I think it's really helped us. It's been a bit crazy. Like, first of all, like, no, we're not gonna lie. Like, we were probably like a little underprepared for it.
A bit more than we could shoot. Probably.
Like, can relate.
There was a lot of things, especially at the start, that like kind of went wrong. That were just kind of like, oh, like we're this one's gonna be a bit rough. Like,
should we leave now?
What were some of those
home
things?
And cry.
Well, I mean, the first day that we got there, it was like, first of all, we set up the tent at the marquee. It was all good. And then we realized we had to sort of take it down and do some readjustments. But then as we were taking it down, the wind sort of like, it was like really gusty that day. So the wind like picked up the whole marquee and almost like flew off on us. And then luckily the people next to us were like there to help it and catch it. Yeah. And they pulled it down and they helped us hold it down. So like, ooh, all right, that's like maybe like a bit of an omen, but we're like kind of like, nah, it's fine, we'll be all right.
And then later that night,
I think literally at like 12, I could just hear like so we were about like 100 meters away from the camp, from the marquee. You could just hear it just flapping in the wind, and we're like, oh, I don't know. And then like I was like doing some research, like how wind works on like marquees and like all this stuff. Cause like people like the one big misconception apparently is that people like take off the sides of the marquee thinking that, oh, the wind will just pass through. But that apparently just creates like a pocket for it to take off. So we had our tent like marquee like that, and we're like, no, this is just not a good idea. And because we had like put in so much effort into like putting it up, taking it down, doing all these sorts of things, I'm like, can't really be bothered taking it down. But then I think as it got closer and closer to about like 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, no, this thing's gonna be gone in the morning if like we don't take it down.
We're not gonna have any like thing to sell out, like give our products to anyone. So
we'll just have a table and that's it.
Just like a bit of grass area.
It's
not very inviting.
Just like 40 degrees.
So yeah, luckily we had like a bunch of our mates down as well to help us. I think there's about like 10 of us.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, whoever was up, I was just like, guys, like we need to take the tent down, the marquee down. Like it's gonna be gone. And so it's like this really good video. I can show you guys later of just like all the boys just holding it down, so it's just fly away, screaming, and like in the middle of the night. And then Tom was asleep through that all.
Yeah, I had my what do you call it? Like earplugs in, noise cancelling headphones on.
Tom knew. Tom knew what was coming.
I clocked off early.
I want no part of this.
And so then all we left behind was just like a metal frame. And like later that night as well, I think like I got woken up at 5 and the wind was even stronger. So I was really glad that like, you know, we took it down when we did, because we probably wouldn't have had the marquee.
Otherwise, you know, we would have had nothing essentially for like the next 4 days. So it went really well. But there was a lot of challenges, hiccups that we kind of
learnings.
Humbling.
Is that the first type of event you've done? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I did a Kenmore market store when you're away.
Oh yeah,
different. Yeah, but 100,000 times different. Like I've done those as well. Like in my own experiences, just like going through things. But this is completely different ball game, and we kind of soon realized that after the first 2 hours of being there. Yeah.
I'm glad you guys have been through it. I spoke personally to a ton of people. I did two festivals. We did Beyond the Valley and Pitch, and I still today think that was the hardest 4 or 5 days of work I've ever done in my life.
I would say probably the hardest 4 or 5 days of work we've done as well. Yeah.
So how many hours were you working per day?
So it's pretty variable, I'd say. Like the first day we were very much open from 12 to 10. But
there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff as well.
We sort of had to alter our hours because we like the first day we realized first of all like 3/4 of our stock was gone. So we were kind of like, okay, we're like mega unprepared. We're gonna have to close shop by like day 2 or 3 if we
Like we can't be here for as long as the festival goes.
Wow.
'Cause essentially
Yeah.
we don't have enough
So-
to give.
So we actually
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to actually drive down to Melbourne that night.
Oh wow.
And pick up some extra stock. Like luckily we ordered some that came that day.
Yeah.
But then also
I
like
was very lucky.
yeah, but then also like Tom went back early in the morning so he could open up shop.
Because otherwise, you know, like we had to be there starting opening, ready to go at 10 a.m. And like essentially to get there at 10 a.m., you know, you have to wait in the lines. You have to like go XYZ, like be there, set up everything. And it just, it wasn't going to happen unless we like drove back at like 11 p.m. at night and then drove back at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. So
Shit.
yeah, it
Tom,
was pretty.
Tom definitely got the rougher end of it. Like,
Built different, Tommy.
yeah,
No,
he
no.
was nice and early. I stayed back in Melbourne for a little bit trying to like find more hats and like went to
Yeah.
like I was like dashing all around the city trying to find like hats on short notice because our original our original supply that we go to takes like a week, especially that around that period of like Chrissy and like holidays. So we're just like, okay, so that's not an option.
And then you went to AS Color, and then they're like, "Look, mate, sorry, we've only got one hat here." Like,
Yeah, literally just
everything's
one.
made to order. Like,
It's
don't
just
like
everywhere.
those guys.
I turn.
So you guys
Yeah,
were trying to
I hate
buy
AS
blanks because you were painting
Yeah.
artwork on. Yeah. Okay.
Essentially, like every hat is just a blank, and then we paintbrush, bleach. Yeah,
I love that we're hearing the whole scope of this because that's like one of my sort of peeves is when I tell people about like journeys of business. It's really hard to explain 5 days of like what a festival entails. But just that one story you guys have given, driving around at 11 at night, leaving a festival to go to the city, to get back at like 5 in the morning and doing things like that is, that shit's like, that's, we're going to have to swear. That's fucking really hard.
it was really hard as well, especially given like, you know, the days leading up to it as well. Like we were preparing all of our stock, and like, you know, it doesn't take like 10 minutes to do all this. Like it takes quite a while, and especially like given the scale that we were like preparing for BTV, we essentially spent like 4 or 5 days of like 10-hour days, like in the lead up as well, like airbrushing, bleaching, painting, preparing, managing, organizing, like getting our marquee set up, getting like couches, like everything, like
Payways.
yeah, everything.
Were you guys pretty shocked because like you sold 75% of your stock like for the customer? Sorry, for our listeners, like it was like a couple hundred hats, something like that. Like that's pretty great. Like you know,
it was crazy, and you know we expected to essentially have that for like the whole 4 days. Like you know we didn't really understand quite how great like the scale and magnitude of Beyond the Valley is, but you know we rocked up there and we saw like 30,000 people there, and we're like, fuck, like, like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like
It's
venue,
probably the perfect
everything.
market for you guys too. Like in the middle of winter. Middle of winter. Middle of
Blistering
summer,
sun,
and it's like the sun's beaming, and everyone needs a hat. And
exactly.
everyone's
got a
intoxicated.
head,
Like there's a hat. Like
Dude, there's some characters that like
you guys had some funny stories, sure.
I think for the most part, I just want to
Everyone
preface
was
like
really nice.
everyone was really
Everyone was
lovely.
sick.
Like everyone was
genuinely great.
No, we really didn't have any like anyone that's just like, that was like trying to like steal or trying to be like negative or just like really kind of like, you know, dodgy or whatever. Everyone was just like they were there just to have a chat or there to just like, you know, buy a product and like kind of get on with it.
It was really good. Like going into it, you know, like you think festivals, you think everyone's like under the influence, and when people are semi under the influence, their, you know, cognitive ability to like make decisions and be like as, you know, genuine and nice as they normally are is a bit hindered. But we really didn't we really didn't see any of that there, even though we were somewhat expecting it. Like we'd have our friends like standing at the doors, like watching people like to see if they stole anything, but like we didn't see any like, you know, sly foul play at all. So it was very positive.
I think the closest it got to was a guy who I think like I want to give him benefit of the doubt. He seemed more like a little intoxicated than really like
But
any malice to it.
He literally came over wearing like a hat and t-shirt as well or something. So he'd like,
of your brand.
Like, and he would have had it like, you know, months prior leading up to Beyond the Valley.
We'll
So
give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. That's why
He's a customer.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He came up to the desk and he was trying on the rings. And as he was trying on, he was like, looking around. And then he gets a phone call And then he's just like drunkenly, I think he forgot that he had the ring on, and he was just like wandering around. Then he starts wandering off and out, and I'm just like, oh fuck. And then hold on, like to run around, and like he wasn't like jogging or anything. He was literally just on the phone, and I had to like tell him like, oh dude, you've got the ring on still. And he's like, oh shit, like, and then he quickly took it off, and it was like that. So I think it was more of a case he just genuinely forgot.
Yeah.
But, like, that was the closest it got to like anyone trying to like steal or anything like that.
That's wild. And on that note, so you're working from sort of like 12 till 10 at night. Was there time, I'm sure you guys had like some acts there that you wanted to go see. How'd you divvy that up?
So actually like on the hours, so this is I guess like going back to a little bit back, but some days, so that 12 to 10 was the first day. The second day,
we just simply didn't have enough
we didn't have enough hats prepared. So we
sold out in the second day.
Well, it wasn't that we sold out. It was we were bleaching and then selling, and we weren't able to keep up with the demand because
it was ready to make essentially. Like we were
doing
it as people were saying like, oh, XYZ, like I want this hat.
So someone would buy it. And you guys, it takes like what, a few hours to make these hats?
Yeah. And
like
especially when
dry.
there's so many, and you don't want to give someone like a non-dry bleach hat in case it like, I don't know, gives them like bad dandruff or
they get a little bit of a few blonde streaks. So like they come to you, they buy the hat, like kind of pre-made, like pre-sale, and
pre-bleached,
and then you go, all right, I'm gonna bleach it, come back.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. Like some of those be pretty intoxicated people. It's like come back, and they probably don't know where they.
So many people like didn't come back.
Like, I knew that was the case.
Yeah. But like everyone who paid, I think, came back. Like you know, like when someone you know applies a bit of like monetary like
there's incentive to come back. Yeah,
they check that bank statement. I fucking Duzh Vug hat. What the hell?
Well, this is a good segue into how the hell do you guys make these? I'd love to know the whole process.
Yeah. First of all, thanks as well, Jesse, for that whole like you know connection to get into BTV, because like we really do appreciate it, and it was like a really like great experience for us, and hopefully you know a nice like stepping stone to other greater things. But how we make the hats is essentially like every single one. I mean, there's been some hats, like we did some trucker hats that were pre-designed by like a friend of ours who's just I'm going to say it, a fucking incredible artist. You should look at him on Instagram, Rivalites. Rival and then ITE.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll get the thing up.
Yeah, we'll pull it up.
And he's really cool. Good friend. Played video games with him.
Must be a good friend.
Yeah, he's a very good friend. And apart from that, we really haven't had any of like, you know, manufactured like way of design or like product. Like it's literally just been like raw paintbrush, bleach, hat. Like here you go. Like essentially it's just like a canvas, and like, you know, you're wearing like not artwork, but like, you know, a design that we've like kind of thunk up of and created and put to a wider audience.
There really isn't, I think, like I don't know, what we whenever anyone asks us, oh, how do we make the hats? We always like feel very open to tell them, like, because it's really not like,
it's not
quite
a
simply,
secret. Like
it's
pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious, and it's
no
like
trade secrets here.
It's really not that special, and like honestly, like anyone can really do it. I guess like for us, it's just like, you know, we create designs for you, we get it all done for you. That's sort of differentiator. And I feel like, I don't know,
like you don't have to spend the time like sitting there painting on a hat, because it does take.
Yeah, how many hours per hat roughly?
Like it really depends on the hat. The one that you're wearing, Jack's, probably like maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
And then that one probably like half an hour. Like it really depends on the designs. Like I've spent there's one hat that is just ridiculous. I spent probably like 10 hours on it, and I made like, I think I was 18 of them, which like 180 hours, and you know, essentially I tried to get it done in like the 1 week. But how many hours is
I was going to say that. I think that's the thing.
I don't think so. No,
no, it definitely
maybe
doesn't work. So it took a bit longer to get those out, but it's hard. It's hard because some of them do take so long, and you know, like time is the greatest currency of the world. Like what's the one thing money can't buy? Time. Like, you know, like it really is difficult to do so many hats in such little amount of time in our finite lives. However, you know, it means the world, you know, when you spend X amount of time and then you go up to someone and they're wearing it, you're like, oh,
I remember that one.
No way. Do you actually really like that? Like, oh my God, thank you. That means the world. Like you spend so much time on something, and then to see someone like appreciate it is, you know, it makes you appreciate it even more. So I'd say, yeah.
On that note, you go.
I was just gonna say on that, you know, seeing someone wear your hat, I think it was like there's like that moment very much came to me and like us. A good example of that is like Skin on Skin when he was wearing it at his boiler room set in Ireland. Yeah, when he was at Ireland. And his hat, like specifically the ones we made, is just he's just there wearing it front and center, and then like you get all these other angles of it, and it's just like how is that there? And
that's crazy.
And the videos almost get like like 1 million views. It's just like far out.
I mean, there's no like massive banner saying like this hat is from here, but like it's really cool. It's because we got home like I think you were asleep or you were away at this point.
For Skin on Skin.
Because I jumped into Discord with like a couple of my mates. We were playing like League like after we went out one night, and we were all pretty smashed. But we all knew he was gonna play, and because it's like, you know, Australian DJ like boiler room overseas, like it's pretty cool, like interesting to see, like, you know. It's like when you see an Australian doing anything, you're like, it brings down that real sense of like, what's the word, patriotism. So it's, we're sitting there waiting for him to come out, and then he comes out, and like, we're sitting there like in queue, like waiting to hit the accept button, like choosing our roles, whatever. And then he comes out, and like, we look at the hat and we just go, like, what the, like, what? Like this, like, what? Like, what? Like, there's no way. Because he was, wearing a hat that we made. Like, it's so surreal, essentially, to see someone, like, of that, like, you know.
Of that nature in general, like anyone else, I think it's pretty surreal to be like, oh, they're wearing our hat. Like, what?
Yeah. And because Sasha as well, like, he loves Manny. Like, he's been probably, like, biggest fan since, like, 18, 19, and like, you know, we've been like closely following his like career essentially since he started. So then, you know, it's like the what is
full
it?
Circle.
Yeah, full circle moment. Like when that happens. So it's like, it was really cool.
Yeah,
it almost didn't feel real. Like it still doesn't feel real. Like people say like, oh, like, you know, like wore the hat, and we go, oh, did he? Like it can't even.
So like, I want to like,
He's it.
You know, you guys go to BTV, you sell out your hats in like 2 days, you know, like rapidly, you're getting shown all this love. Like how do you deal with it, and how does it make you feel? Because I've always sort of struggled like with my past in clothing and seeing everyone wear your stuff and buy it and show love. It's like, it's a bit overwhelming for myself.
It is.
How do you guys like feel?
It just like, it seriously doesn't feel like real. Like, you know, as much as, you know, we appreciate like everyone coming through, it's just like how the fuck is this like, why do people like it? Like, obviously, you know, like we put it like lots of time, effort and thought and like love, care, everything into it. But it's just like, I don't know, like it genuinely just does not feel real. Every single time you see like the appreciation or like marvel of like your hat in someone's eyes, you're like what? Like, it's really hard to process. But, you know, I think as time goes on and like, you know, we start speaking to people more, having better conversations, like it helps you to better contextualize and show a greater appreciation to them and, you know, ourselves included. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. Like, it is at times overwhelming, definitely. But it's like I love that. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty loving guy, and like when I see like love from other people, when I see like love from other people, I feel like I can very much reciprocate it, and it's just like I get energized by it. To be like fully honest, I see it, and I'm just like, okay, so we're doing something right. Like, you know, and it just like gives me that energy to keep going. Like, okay, let's keep doing it. Because like as you mentioned before, like in business, there's so many things that you just don't like see and think about. Like, I won't lie, there's been so many moments, and I think Tom said the same, where we're just like, do we can Duzh Vug? Is it time? Like that, and like I'm really glad we haven't. But you know, there's those moments like that where you really feel like, oh God, is this worth still doing? But like, you know, seeing that love and support is very, very wholesome and very like energizing to me, and Tom definitely.
Yeah.
And
It is
like, and it's like, you know, even though we try to like, you know, contact everyone, we're not going to be able to contact everyone. But even so, we know and see them, and like see those messages, and it's really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Those moments of doubt are very prevalent. I think you guys have been around for about 15 months, somewhat similar to us with colour plane. And
sorry, no, you go.
Oh, just quickly, like I haven't told Jack this, but like there's been moments throughout the last 10 months for us where I'm like, doubting it. Like, is this, you know, are we crazy? We've put in all this money, like we're traveling the world. I'm like, is this all like stupid? Like, does anyone actually care about what we're doing? And it's funny because I've been in this like 4 years, you know what I mean? Like I've built a lot of networks, and even then I'm doubting, you know, at times. So I just think it's real human nature, like hearing you say it, and like, you know, you guys have such a tight knit community, but still like here and there, it takes big events like it Beyond the Valley to like cement and see, you know, that people will love what you do.
Definitely. Yeah. It really does. Like it's hard to, you know, fully like grasp just like I guess like, you know, the sense of, like thought provoking and like awe inspiring, like, in people. And then like once you're like fully there, like, you know, that shred of self-doubt and everything, like it is kind of, on the back burner. Like I remember, do you remember when we started and we were crying in the car together? Or maybe
I think
maybe just myself.
I think like I was a bit like
there's a
direct
lot of,
and like kind of like, I don't know. It was like I love Tom and all, but I remember this. There was like this moment where I realized like things weren't going to work if like we didn't change something. Like we are friends beforehand, and you know sometimes people say don't mix friends and business. It's like can be kind of risky, especially when money's involved and that sort of thing. But like, you know, if you're able, I think to detach the business from the business and the friends from friends, it can be really, really like beneficial. And I think that moment that Tom was talking about, like, I just like kind of like, I don't know what the phrase is, but I really just put my foot down and said, look, if we want this to work, it has to be this way. We can't be doing this dumb stuff, especially with how little we started with. Like we need to be super kind of like selective and vigilant and like smart about how we do things from here on out to make it work for the long term.
Definitely.
Well, that's the strength of a startup too, right? It's like you can pivot so quickly. Yeah. So you don't have, you know, those employees under you. You don't have all that corporate structure around you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you don't have
and you have to be able to
chain
pivot.
of command.
Yeah, exactly.
Like processes, systems that are just so hard to deal with. Yeah. So it is good.
A part of that conversation, was it separating your friendship from like your business? Like, was that a part of the conversation or like?
Partially, I think it was in the nature of the conversation.
I think it was very underlying, like that sense of like, you know, like we got to separate like our friendship and like business at times. Obviously, you know, you can mix them like together at times. Like at BTV, you know, we're friendly and like business at the same time. But that point I think was we didn't. It was probably like the most unspoken like idea of that whole conversation is that, you know, if we want to do this, we've got to, you know, put our foot down at times and like be really, really honest and like true with ourselves and to each other. Yeah,
it was communication. I think that was like the really big message was like, do you mind if I go in specifics?
No, please do, because I can as well. But
I was gonna say it was more so like in terms of, because like we wanted always to like, you know, make a good impression at the start, because I feel like as a small business you got to prove yourself.
A first impressions last for forever.
So all these like little things like making sure the order gets out on time, you know, like timely delivery and all that sort of stuff. And I remember like I was asking Tom about some of the hats, what was happening, and he told me, he would have it done by this day. And then that day came along, it wasn't there. I'm like, okay, what's the next time? And it just was like, I was just getting a bit, I think, frustrated at that point, that I was just like, okay, don't tell me just to please me, like a day that you can do, just tell me actually when you can do it so I know when to expect it and we can figure out from that. And that was like sort of like the moment. It's just like, just be 100%. I don't care if it's like not ideal. I'd rather know what the actual situation is, then we can move forward and like figure it out that way.
The reason like I probably like had so much emotion as well in that, like I genuinely teared up is probably because I, you know, myself, as you were frustrated, was frustrated with like my own actions. So I think it was, you know, a nice, vulnerable and growth moment for the two of us. And yeah, I'm sure, you know, it's played a bit of a part in us being here now. So yeah,
100%. That conversation needed to happen, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it was very beneficial, even though tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like you guys have kind of different roles within the business, if I'm just reading between the lines. Like,
well, I mean, that was just how we initially, I think, established. So initially we established it very much that Tom would sort of be doing more of like the painting and that bleaching, and then everything else, like sort of like process. I guess back end website, like financial regulation, compliance, all that sort of stuff was more me. But I think now that's sort of become a bit more intertwined, especially after me going for 6 months. Tom's had to take on some more of those roles. And then also even before then, I was helping him out more with hats and
Just to
certain
meet
things
all
and
the
creation.
demand and
I
everything.
think honestly, like having it initially split so obviously
didn't work as well.
It didn't work as well. It definitely needs to be like, you know, maybe like focuses on what we focus on, but for the most part, we do need to like cross over at times and help each other out, and that definitely did help out after changing more to that sort of style.
I think that's so healthy and something me and Jess talk about a lot, but there is a real value in knowing each other's roles. And like back to your example, like Tom's like you're like, where are the hats, Tom? But like, you might not know that it takes him 10 hours per hat.
Yeah.
So, but now that you've like done that and seen it, it's like you got a bit more compassion and empathy.
100%.
You know, your other teammate, really.
Definitely. Because I think you guys mentioned this in like one of your previous podcasts as well. Like you kind of do have to take on like the all-rounder role. Like you have to be like, you know, essentially able to do anything like in regards to your business, whatever that may be. And it goes in the way as well. Like if you get, you know, other people on board, like, you know, they have to be pretty able to do exactly everything that we do. Otherwise, you know, it's really not going to work as well as it should. So yeah, I think, it's good that we can now stop and change.
Your team structures, of course, you two and Mimi as well.
Yeah.
She's helping out.
Yeah, Mimi's helping out.
Yeah, Mimi, we brought Mimi on to do like a bit of like the social media side of things, but you know, it kind of got lost in translation a bit with Sasha going away for 6 months. Like we kind of lost touch essentially with all three of us. Like it was more so kind of just like you know, myself taking on the majority of it, and then like getting people to help me. Like Mimi helped me quite a bit as well, like during that time period. But like, you know, I was getting ex-partners, mum, sister, like other friends to help out. So yeah, we got Mimi involved, and I think, you know, probably need to get her involved more so. But at our current scale, it's really hard to kind of
absolutely
bring on another person, and especially, you know, when we don't have like too much to offer for them.
Yeah.
Tom, with everything being so hands-on in that 6 months, was there like one sort of tipping point for you? Was there ever a point where you're like, fuck?
Yeah. There were a lot of moments there where I was just like borderline about to just drive to a remote location and live there forever and just, I don't know, hermit, read a book for the rest of my life. But look, I tried my hardest to ask for help from other people in those situations, because seriously, like the best thing you can do in life ever is just get help from someone, because, you know, the second you get help, like that's half of your obligations, like responsibilities, everything done. And like half, like 50% is a big fucking percentage. So if you can, you know, share the workload, share anything by like 50%, then like, wow, you have to worry about half less now. So it was pretty challenging. And certain times I was very much close to just saying like, look, Sasha, mate, F you, F this, and see you later. Let's go back to our normal, like everything else. But look, I'm glad I stuck through, and I'm glad we're here now, because it was very fun. Like I was just sitting there in my garage from endless nights, just painting there, sitting there, watching podcasts, watching YouTube, listening to music, like.
Watching Sasha at those college football games, college parties. Like, fuck this guy.
I was just sitting there tapping through stories of him in college, like, fuck.
No, I do have to really like praise Tom. He did a fucking awesome job. I like, there was, you know, as you said earlier, there's the doubt. Not that like, I doubt
Dude, you gave me big word up before you left.
Yeah, I think beforehand it was like, I pretty much told him just don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
And like
long and short, yeah.
Because there was moments where I'm like, shit, this could like not necessarily like the nature of his like ability, but it's like it's a lot of load to take on for one person. So I was like to him, like, you know, I really hope he just pulls through. And like after like seeing him, especially like after the first couple of months, him just sort of like just keep going, keep doing it. He's using his networks effectively. I'm like, what was I worried about? Like he did a really, really good job. And I'm really, really happy. Like, and proud of him.
Unreal.
That's great.
Proud of you too, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think that this has been a very common theme on the podcast, is like sort of getting through that tribulation. And, you know, I think because it's like, this is so new for all of us, right? As young entrepreneurs, I guess. And I don't like that word, but I put the synonym.
No better word. Yeah,
I got the
Go-
synonyms
type in-
out on
Yeah,
Google.
yeah.
I couldn't find a better word, so I've tried. If anyone's got one, maybe DM us and we'll start using it. But where I was going is, I think there's so many uncharted waters that we're all sort of enduring, and in your story, it was that 6 months of like going through all these different things on your own.
Yeah,
But to go through them, like I can't help but think like you're so much stronger now.
100%.
And like you got things like Beyond the Valley, like these incredible events that change things are like, they're only like a step away, but you have to get through the hard times, right?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like life is just genuinely about problem solving, and the better you get at problem solving, like the better, or the lesser the problems thereafter are, and the better you are able to do pretty much anything and make decisions. And yeah, I feel like the more problems, the more adversity, the essentially just better in like every regard capacity you do get, and that does translate as well into the hats. So yeah,
Love it, man.
yeah.
Are you guys looking, so for 2023, are you guys looking, obviously, Sasha, you're back now.
Yeah.
Tom's obviously a very happy man.
Stoked.
Are you guys working full time on this? What are your kind of hopes for, I guess, workload this year?
Honestly, just it's we're leaving it very open ended. Like we started this whole venture very much as an experience and sort of like learning curve. Like we really didn't expect. Like we were very content with our initial investment. If we lose that, we lose that. It's fine. We've just sort of learned how to like start a business, and we've learned how to like
Great life experience.
Yeah, avoid things. So but after doing this for about 15 months, we're sort of, I don't know, it's still very much like, I'd say a side sort of passion project, but we're still going to give it like all the time and care it needs
and should deserve. So
and it's not like we're going to neglect it in any sense. We're just going to really like just see where it goes. And if it gets to a point where it's like it needs more time, needs more people, we're more than willing to put in the time and effort to like dedicate it to it.
Is it a dream of yours to go full time?
Look, at the moment we're still doing university, and we're still, keeping our options essentially for like the rest of our, livelihoods open. And we still got both part-time jobs as well. Sasha's rowing coach. What am I doing at the moment? Just some labouring here and there.
Nice.
But look, like if we could ever go full-time, that would be absolutely like more than anything incredible. Like it seriously would be. However, we are just teetering along the lines as long as possible, I guess.
Definitely open to the idea. I definitely agree. I think me personally, and like even Tom and I were on the way here, we were talking very much like about also starting like other ventures. So like that's sort of I think like nature of myself and Tom is that as much as we want to put time focus into one thing, there's also other things we're very interested to look into as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, like I feel like most people should like try and specialize into one thing. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like we just gotta see what's out there
in like 10 years time, 5 years time.
Yeah.
We don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like,
Exactly. Very true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we'll see this out as essentially long as we can and nicely, and the best of our regards. But
take it day by day.
Yeah,
really.
sick, definitely.
It's a good message.
Yeah,
It's a good segue into so when we're talking about full time, the prospect of it. Obviously, you got to have the means to go full time.
Yeah.
What do your financials look like at the moment? In terms of like, are you guys close to maybe that becoming a reality? Like, I don't know. Maybe we can look at like growth through the year, average revenue monthly, something like along those lines.
So
I think maybe after Beyond the Valley, if you want to.
So I guess like finance and that sort of thing is more my thing. Like that's what I've been looking at. Well, the way we started was very much like
I've never seen the number.
You just keep paying data. Don't come out of the garage.
I'll just look at Sasha.
So like, are you comfortable with me saying the numbers?
Yeah.
So
it's
we
nice
both
to be transparent.
We both started with like I guess the nature of our business. We both
Very
started
low
with
startup.
Yeah, there's a very low startup cost. So we started with about $2,500 total, and that was a 50-50 split. And that was just mainly to like start the website, get the hats, stock, and like all that sort of basic necessary stuff. And working with that, we were very much cash flow conscious, because that was like a big thing that was advised by a lot of people, just keep that money positive. So we were very like willing initially to like work unpaid for a lot of that. But at the same time, I was very much like Tom, like, hey, when I see the opportunity to, and I think we can work it, I'll pay us out and try to get that initial investment as quick as possible. So I think with how we were going over the course of the like first 6 months, we were able to generate enough sales, enough revenue to pay ourselves back. I think
our initial investment
pretty early on, about like 3-4 months in, just to like be like, okay, now we've got literally nothing to lose. It's just all the experience and gained, and like it's going to be a really good learning experience. And then we kept on reinvesting that cash flow and whatnot. The nature of our business, because we're doing a lot of drops. We
don't like that word, but
there's
no other way to say it.
There's no other way to say it. The income is very like inconsistent. It just really depends on when the drop comes in, how much you get a big surplus of cash for a little bit, and then you got to figure out how you're going to reinvest it and like put it across. And so because of that, there'd be times I'm kind of like, okay, maybe now if we've got this big surplus, if this drop goes well, then we can pay ourselves out for more and stuff. But over the last 15 months, I think BTV was definitely our biggest payout. That was like we were already sitting at a very healthy spot for us.
It was really nice to kind of see like some sort of like monetary value associated to like just the insane amount of hard work that Sasha and I had both put in for like the better half of a year and a bit. Yeah,
I was going to say before, ties into sort of that imposter syndrome. Like, do you deserve that money or not? But like when I hear these stories, I'm sure our listener hears it straight away. Like when you're driving around at 11 at night to 5 in the morning, like those things you couldn't pay. Like there's a reason why people get paid in that time slot, like triple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys are doing that. It sounds like on the regular. You're doing 10-hour hats. Like you guys deserve every dollar. Believe me.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, that means a lot, because like you're right. Like sometimes we don't feel like we deserve anything, because I don't know, that's just like the nature of like, I guess Australia, and like, this greater sense of like humility that we've always been taught. But it was really finally nice to kind of see like, some sort of, I don't like the word reward, but like, nice association to the hard efforts that we've kind of like put in. Yeah.
How many hats did you sell at BTV?
BTV, I think there was roughly a bit over 250 hats.
Yeah.
That was including the stock that like we picked up from Melbourne.
Yeah. And we probably as well, like we really didn't anticipate just how, many people were going to be like owned by the sun. So essentially we could have had, maybe, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 times the amount, and maybe not done as. But yeah, we could have done, we didn't realize just how well we could have done, essentially. Like we didn't realize just how much people were into our stuff until then. So I guess it was quite heartwarming, actually.
Very exciting.
Yeah, exciting. And like a very big learning curve, I think. That was like another big thing.
Massive learning curve.
For the listener very quickly as well, like I don't think people fully understand the risk of a Beyond the Valley or any festival, because one, the marquee is like, that's a specific marquee that is like a lot of industry regulations. You can't just go to Bunnings or Coles and like get the local barbecue. Like this is like one that has like all. There's like, what's some of the specs?
127A and 127B, like marquee certificates. To be honest, it's actually a really funny story, because I went to.
Here we go. You got it from Coles now?
Yeah, we got it from Coles. Essentially got it from Coles. Yeah. So what happened was we called up, like, because we knew quite a bit in advance that we were going to need like XYZ marquee, XYZ requirements. And with that, we went to a couple marquee hire party places, and we're like, hey, can you do this? Like, we gave them all like the kind of like detailed specs and everything that we required. And pretty much every single like marquee place that we went to was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they had no idea the requirements, anything of like Beyond the Valley and like the Happen Group, like whatever the requirements that they had, and no one had any idea whatsoever. Like there's probably like 20 different people I spoke to asking like, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? And everyone was just like, no idea. So then eventually we just figured like, okay, I think it must just be like a given in any marquee. Like, cause I Googled it and I found like some, information, and it was like pertaining to the information or like the structure and like its ability to hold like certain wind resistances and whatever.
Which proved to be fatal. Yeah.
Yes. really fatal. But we again, like we made do with what we had. Like my dad, we sent him essentially to Bunnings to get like all these different tie downs, everything to like hold the structure down. And then in that like mad
Shout out
dash
to Tom's dad.
Shout out to Tom's dad.
Yeah,
The real hero.
yeah. He also helped set up the marquee on the first day as well. So
Wow.
yeah, thank you.
Drove
Dad.
down.
Yeah, he drove us down. Very
Good
nice
dad.
of him.
Yeah.
Great dad. So when that like whole mad dash back to Melbourne, like 2 hours sleep, like in your own bed, like absolute tease. Like
It's a different kind of tease.
yeah, it is. All happened. You know, we were able to get all the tie downs, all the proper like, you know, structures and places to actually, you know, make it safe and viable for the rest of the 4 days. Because, you know, if we didn't have that, like genuinely on the second or third day, bang, gone. Like there's no chance. Like it was way too windy on those last few days. So yeah,
I appreciate you explaining that, because it's, you know, more to this point of you're finding this like incredibly difficult marquee, and I relate. We actually got our marquee from Queensland.
Really?
I was so fucking stressed, man. Like, I called every company.
Yeah, it was so stressful.
Relate,
Yeah.
like, what is that? Like, what are those specs? I'm like, I don't know. I'm reading off the sheet. Like, I don't know anything about marquees. Like, I thought you're the marquee specialist.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got some like company from Queensland. They knock off at like 2 p.m. in Queensland. They're all lazy as fuck. Anyway, that was a headache in itself. But long story short is you put in all this work to find a marquee. You know, you're roping in your dad, and then the other thing is it's like $500 to like set up a like you got to pay to be it.
Yeah, it was
right?
$1,500 for our plot of land.
There you go.
There's
$1,500, man.
It's not cheap.
No way.
But you know what? Like, although it was $1,500, it still included like 4 like tickets, 4 car passes.
True.
Like, I don't know. Like, it sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Like,
Yeah.
do the simple maths and you can. Yeah.
no, that's the thing.
Thought you weren't the numbers guy.
But yeah,
Hidden talent.
there you go.
Secretly, yeah.
Yeah, I think for the listener, it's like $1,500, all the hours, you know, all that work. So it's like you deserve those 250 sales. You know, it's like it's not. I think sometimes people just go like, oh, I can just click my fingers, rock up to Beyond the Valley for like $50,
Yeah.
set up a stall of like, you know, a couple of little things. It's actually the opposite. It's so much hard work.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work. Like we bent over backwards essentially to like try get everything out, ready, set up, like organized, and look, it was great, and we wouldn't change anything for the world. However, you know, next time we've learnt a lot, so should be able to potentially even do it better. But yeah,
100%.
There's like on that there's just so many other little setup costs like that people don't even consider. Like you got to get insurance. We had to get our Square like payment system
Readers.
going. The stock, the travel, like expenses,
Food,
like food,
drinks,
drinks, like
yeah.
it's all like part of it, and it really does add up. Just like a lot of little things, just like
We had to
really
buy
add
like
up.
trestle tables as well.
Yeah, trust
Yeah.
me.
Trestle tables.
Yeah.
You guys eating those tins of tuna to save money? That's what I do.
Yeah, I was
having-
thinking
Yeah.
too.
One was.
I was having 2-minute noodles. so-
Nice.
Yeah.
Cut cost somehow.
Yeah.
I know you go.
Oh, I think, you know, we're really excited. I think I'd implore you guys to think really big, you know. Beyond the Valley is obviously like a really clear symbol of like what's to come and
Yeah.
how people like perceive your brand. So if anything for 2023, just think really big.
Yeah. I think, you know, we do think really big, but like essentially we don't think we can be really big. If that doesn't make sense, but like
It does. I want to
like-
touch on this, I think, because your process is very labor intensive, right?
Yeah,
and like you can only
extremely.
make a certain amount of hats.
yeah.
How do you guys plan to overcome that this
Um,
following year?
I think
Because demand's increasing, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
It
I
is.
mean,
Don't get
yeah. Look, like scarcity is, you know, a very big thing, and I think, you know, as time goes on and we kind of have to like, you know, manage it a bit better, like our time, it's probably not going to be as feasible to do like those 100-hour hats, those like 16 10-hour hats. Like we won't not be able to do that every week. Like, you know, we're probably gonna have to like, you know, make it more scarce, make it more like just like make it a lot like better essentially, but also like to the same kind of scale, and just like see where that goes. But it's going to be, you know, another like massive problem, and you know, we just hope that when we come to it, we can try our best to solve it and work out like good possible like outcomes.
Yeah, there's a lot of paths we can really take realistically. I guess
Just
it's
don't know which one yet.
Yeah, I don't know which one. And like, I mean, we've always kind of like been, I think, pretty good with like how, like, especially like a big component of it all is always coming down to like the money and how what we can afford and how we can afford to like do it. But I think we've been really good in like, you know, making somewhat conservative decisions that still pay out. You know, we're trying to be like, I guess, hyper efficient with like the money and how we invest in that sort of thing. And I think like, you know, for the most part, obviously, you know, you gotta spend money to make money, but at the same time, you know, spend time to spend time as well, and then also just don't bluntly just throw cash at something that you don't think is gonna like, you know, be beneficial in the end of the thing. And I guess it's just like finding out which option.
Yeah, it's finding that nice happy medium of balance. Like of just like, you know, creating something really really nice for like our guests, consumers, whatever, and then also, you know, not eating away at our like mental health life, like expectancy, everything. So it's all about finding that little like, you know, it's like everything in life, order and chaos, yin and yang, like opposing forces. Yeah,
we've definitely been through a lot of those hurdles. We're still, you know, they're kind of never ending, but we've certainly seen a lot of them, and we're really keen to help you guys on this journey. You know, I think let's stay in touch. Absolutely,
we would love your help, guys. Like you really said, a lot better at it.
We've just been at it for.
We're all just learning.
Help is
solving problems.
Yeah, guys.
No, I'm really excited for you guys. It's awesome what you built so far.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
We're excited too, but also very nervous. So
I love it. Yeah, you guys, you know, have come here and spoke so openly, and I think, you know, we've got quite a young audience that are coming through, you know, university, maybe leaving high school, maybe people wanting to change their jobs. Yeah, and I think the way you guys spoke so openly, vulnerably, you know, given people the real idea of what business is like, you know, and that's really invaluable. So we really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, like seriously, thanks so much for having us. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Like it's cool to be able to speak to you guys and like, you know, hopefully a nicer, you know, broader, cooler audience as well. So yeah,
love it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, guys.